Today, we discuss Miro. Today, I want to talk about the hellscape that is technical diagramming, right? Everybody's nodding their heads right now, And there is a potential solution that I want to share. There was one name that several people brought up. I did some digging, and it's kind of nuts how much this program Miro has for developers. I have to share this. It could potentially be a game changer for you. So my favorite part about Miro is that half the work is already done. Like right now, typically we spend hours starting diagrams from scratch, gathering information. You get buy-in from every team. That's a lot of work to do. But Miro has a full set of integrations with the tools you're probably already using. And they also offer open APIs and SDKs for custom solutions for all those niche diagramming use cases we have to do, right? So the end result is the same, but it doesn't take forever. It's a massive, massive time saver. I'm transforming basic flowcharts and network architectures, and it all lives in one place. So are you using Miro? Have you used it? I want to hear. That's MIRO.com.
Hello and welcome to Humans of Speedway. I'm Ian Brannan. In this episode, we're speaking to a rider who has given much to many British Speedway clubs, but one in particular, and that's the Kings Lynn Stars. He's celebrating his testimonial year in 2022. He is Lewi Kerr.
The swan dive sort of went a bit wrong, really. I sort of tried to do it forwards, and I had to do this little hop each time to go forward. I should have turned around and done it properly, but I still won.
Find out what that's about in a little while. We'll also find out more about Lewi's background, his early days on motorcycles, making the move from motocross to Speedway and how that came about. And then, of course, racing for Kings Lynn, but other sides across British Speedway as well, including Plymouth, Somerset, Newcastle, Scunthorpe, Ipswich, Lakeside, Poole Pirates, Glasgow Tigers, Eastbourne, and of course in 2022, Kings Lynn and Redcar. And we're going to find out a little bit more about his testimonial meeting, which is one of the first meetings in British Speedway in 2022. And he's going to reveal the names of the teams that are going to be battling it out in that fixture as well. But first of all, let's welcome Lewi Kerr to Humans of Speedway. Welcome, great to speak to you.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for taking the time to join us and tell us about your testimonial, which is where we'll start, because this is happening the opening weekend, really, of the Speedway season, Sunday the 20th of March, and you've been working on this for a while. You're putting together a top-class lineup. How are the preparations going at the moment, then?
Yes, planning's going really well. Sunday the 20th of March at Kings Lynn. Lineup's coming together really good. It's a strong field. People did tell me how much work is involved in a testimonial, but I never knew it was going to be this much. But it's going good, and like I said, it's the Josh Orty's the day before mine. Then I'm on the Sunday, so one of the first of the season.
And yeah, as you mentioned, you're now getting a look behind the curtain of what it's like to be a promoter as well. So what are the things you've discovered in doing that side of the Speedway?
Well, I don't want to ever be a promoter, I know that, but yeah, it's just unbelievable, the little things you don't think of that you have to be in place. And I've got a good team around me. I've got a couple of sponsors helping me, and Stephanie Babb from the Ben Fund has been great as well. So I'm glad I've got those guys to help me. 20th
of March then is the day. As we mentioned, it's the opening weekend of the Speedway season, really, because there's a couple of testimonials. Josh Orty's the day before, and yourself. What's the lineup looking like so far? Because you have got some big names who have signed up to join you at the Adrian Flux Arena on that day, haven't you?
Yes, it's looking really strong. We've got Niels Christian Everson, we have Bomber, Peter Kilderman, Nikolai Klint, Danny King, Charles Wright, Adam Ellis, the young German Norik Bladorn is going to Bellevue, so that'd be cool to see him. Richard Lawson, and there's plenty more to come. So yeah, it's looking a strong lineup.
Now, this is a 4-team tournament. It's the format of how it's going to work, and the exclusive for Humans of Speedway is you're going to give us the team names in a moment, so people will see how it's going to work. Before we get to that, though, something else that you've done in the meeting is that you're giving fans the chance to be team managers, and people bid on that, and they went down really well. But great for fans to get that extra insight into the sport, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We decided on a 4-team tournament, and then thought, we might as well give the opportunity to manage the team for the night. And within the morning, they were all sold out. So it was really good. We had lots of inquiries about that. And obviously there'll be other official team managers there as well to help them, and if they get stuck or need any advice. So it's little things like that you can't normally do. I've also got a referee experience that I've agreed with the referee they can do as well, so they can spend the day with the referee in the box, and track inspection with the ref, and walk around the pits, and things that you wouldn't normally be able to do that you could do at my testimonial.
It's fantastic for fans to be able to have the chance to do these kind of things. The stuff that you would never have a chance to do in a league meeting during the season, but you can make it possible in a testimonial, and that adds an extra element to it as well. Now, we mentioned the team managers, but there are teams, and with it being a 4-team tournament, each team has a name. For the first time, and exclusive to Humans of Speedway, you're going to reveal the team names for your testimonial in March. Over to you, Lewi Kerr.
Yeah, so we've got a British Champs team, and I think those riders have all been announced. So that will be Chris Harris, Danny King, Adam Ellison, Charles Wright. We have an All-Stars team, which will be Niels Christian Everson, Nikolai Clint, Norik Bladorn, and then one more which is being announced this end of this week. We have a Kings Lynn Stars team, and I think 2 of those have been announced, and then we've got another 2 to go. And then we're going to have a team called the Kangaroos. So it's 3 Aussies and a Brit in that one. So we're calling them the Kangaroos.
Sounds good. And I think people are going to get a rough idea of what categories those riders that are yet to be announced might fall into. Obviously, you're going to have a big support from the Kings Lynn crowd, but people from across the country will be coming to see you as well. I know that there's a coach coming from the northeast, isn't there, of Redcar and Newcastle fans, and I'm sure people who followed you around your various clubs in British Speedway will be making the journey.
Yeah, it would be fantastic. It's going to be a good day, and like I said, Redcar are making the trip, and I think they've put it out there to Newcastle if they wanted to join on the coach as well. So it'd be good if some of the Newcastle fans can come make the trip. I know there's a few carloads coming anyway, but hopefully people come from all over to watch it. Like I said, it's a real good lineup. You're going to see some good racing, and a lot of fun.
And as you mentioned, when you're promoting these meetings and putting them together, there's all those little things that you forget about. You've thought about the races, but what are the other things that are going to be going on during the meeting to keep everybody entertained?
Yeah, we'll have we've got youth demonstrating races, so we're going to have 125s and 250s, and then once the 4-team tournament is done, we're going to have 2 semis and a final of the top 2 scorers, and then they go into the final. So it's sort of like a second half meeting really, which will be exciting, and some really good racing in that. There'll be a good auction in the bar afterwards. There'll be a raffle. There's loads of things actually in the pipeline that we've yet to sort of finalise and plan. So there's going to be lots going on, definitely.
A special occasion, of course, any testimonial is a big achievement for a Speedway rider. But Kings Lynn, not just a club that you've raced for all those years. It's an area you grew up in. It's your local club as well. It must be a hugely proud occasion for you to get this on.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously been at Kings Lynn a long time now, and I had a couple of years away, and that's all I've had. And being a local boy, having your testimonial in your local town is fantastic. So yeah, really pleased about that. And I just hope we get a good turnout. I'm sure we will. One of the first meetings of the year, and it'd be great to see the place packed.
Well, it's a perfect time to have it, I think, as well. As you say, first meeting of the year, people are absolutely desperate to see, some top quality Speedway once again, and your lineup packed with riders of the caliber you've got is, it's all shapes up to be a fantastic occasion.
Yeah, it does. Like I say, and I've met some great friends in my career, and all the riders have been you know, more than happy to do the meeting for me. And you know, it's people like Niels. You know, I've had a few seasons with Niels, and you know, he's making the trip over here to do that. And it's great pre-season practice for the boys. You know, it's you know, it's a paid practice for them, and they get to go from the tapes really. So yeah, it's going to be good.
And you're part of a big weekend really for those who've got the time to be able to make a weekend of it, because Saturday the Josh Orty testimonial, Sunday the Lewi Kerr testimonial at Kings Lynn, and then on the Monday the Peter Craven Memorial takes place at the National Speedway Stadium. So potentially 3 days on the bounce of top class speedway.
We've all missed our speedway over the winter, so hopefully people are gagging to get back there. So it'll be good.
Lewi Kerr, my guest on Humans of Speedway, racing for the Kings Lynn Stars and the Redcar Bears in British Speedway in 2022. And of course, celebrating his testimonial year. And more about that to come, but we'll find out a bit more about his background. Lewi wasn't always going to be a Speedway rider. In fact, far from it. Speedway was not the form of motorcycling he was originally used to. Find out how he found his way into Speedway in the next part of Humans of Speedway. You're listening to Humans of Speedway. My guest in this episode is Lewi Kerr, or Lewi Kerr for short. Now, it's his testimonial year this year, which means he's been in Speedway obviously over 10 years, and much of that has been spent with Kings Lynn Stars in the top league, but elsewhere in British Speedway, he's ridden for a number of clubs, and we'll look at some of those in a few moments. First of all, Lewi, I want to go right back to how you found your way into Speedway in the first place, because whilst you were into motorcycles, you come very much from the motocross side of things, and then you discovered Speedway, as many riders have done. We spoke to Jordan Palin a couple of episodes ago, and that's where he started, having never even heard of Speedway originally. People like Craig Cook being another example, yourself also following that line. How did Speedway come into your life then as a motocrosser?
You know, my life was motocross growing up, and then I'm good friends with Connor Mountain and his dad, and Andy, his dad, recently got another Speedway bike after a few years, so he was going down to Kings Lynn, and I went and had a go on it, and from then on, you know, I got hooked. Managed to buy an old bike and was practicing all winter, and then yeah, before you know it, Kings Lynn signed me as an asset and done all the amateur meetings and things like that, and then had my first meeting in the National League. I think it was June 2010, maybe. Yeah, and it was just roller coaster from then, and then yeah, and it just happened so quickly. I managed to pick it up really quickly and got going, and then by 2013 I'd signed for Newcastle in the old Premier League. So yeah, it happened really quick, but best thing I ever done. So.
And I know that we spoke to Jordan Palin a little while ago, and he came from a motocross sort of background as well as a youngster. But he was saying that, you know, originally he hated it, and it took him a while to kind of get the hang of it. But for you, did you find it quite natural sliding a bike? Because it's sort of firstly, having no brakes is one thing to get your head round, I imagine. But the whole style and everything else that's required is very unique to Speedway, isn't it? It's not the sort of style you'd use in many other sports.
It used to scare me, actually, when I first started, because, like you said, they're just not like a normal bike. You know, I'd come into the corner and panic, and then I'd shut off. The back wheel would catch up, and then it would go straight. So it was getting your head around that. The harder you ride the bike, the easier it becomes. But you know, it's just practice, and then it just becomes sort of second nature after that. But it was definitely scary early on. I had a few crashes.
And you've had your fair share of those as well, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. But so you were involved with the young stars as well, weren't you, at Kings Lynn? So you've had like, you know, that was your first sort of experience, I suppose, within a team.
Yeah, I really enjoyed, you know, the young stars. It was great. We had a good team, and then in 2013 we had a really good team when Robert Lambert joined us and Stevie Worrell joined us. So it was the top three of me, Robert, and Stevie Worrell at the time. So
It's not a bad lineup, is it?
Against, no, it's good. But it was great. Even when I was doubling up with Newcastle and the Young Stars, it was just gave me so much confidence going into those meetings, and then we broke away from there in 14. But it was great for the Young Stars, definitely.
And doubling up is important to the development of young riders, particularly. And I know it's got its critics, doubling up, but for the youngsters riding in the National League as you were, to make that step up, you've got that reassurance almost like a safety blanket of knowing that in the National League, you know your level, you're confident, and you can do stuff in that league that you probably wouldn't attempt to do, say, riding in the Championship, or these days being a rising star in the Premiership, where obviously the competition is much more fierce. You're riding against much better riders, and you are going to have a tougher time. But the stuff that you learn, you can take back between the leagues to improve your overall game.
That's exactly what happened. I'd sort of have a really good meeting for the Young Stars, and my confidence was high, and I'd take that into the old Premier League, and it worked. Just a dream that year. My Premier League form was fantastic. In fact, it was probably better in the Premier League than it was the National League. It was really, really strange, but it was still to this day. I think 2013 was my most funnest year. I think doing both those clubs was full of confidence. I had no pressure as such back then. It was, and the points were flowing. Really, it was just really enjoyable.
Yeah, I remember you riding for Newcastle, because I'm based in the North East, and I went to a Newcastle meeting, and it was a meeting that you were dominating. I seem to remember that, because Roy Clark was calling you the Kerminator and all this kind of stuff, and it was like you're having a fantastic time there. And Newcastle's not the easiest track for a lot of riders. Not everybody enjoys going there.
No, that's right. And I absolutely love it. Even to this day, I go back as an away rider, and I always seem to have really good meetings there. I just enjoy it. It was, like I said, I've rode so many times there now. It's second nature around there, to be honest. And most people don't like it. So I had some great years at Newcastle. That first, like I said, the first year, the fans and promotion were great for me. Yeah,
there's definitely an art to Newcastle, I think, and as I mentioned, it's not for everyone. But that said, it's had some big names racing there in the past. If it's good enough for Ivan Major, it's good enough for everyone, surely. And you learn that track and nail it, then you're invincible round there, and you become a hero. Yeah, that's right. I think it was a shame what happened in 2015 with my crash, because obviously that wiped out my third year with them, and things were going well then. But I had a great 2.5 years with them. I think it was just at that time, I needed to try something new after coming back from my injury and stuff. But I'll never forget the Newcastle days, that's for sure. No, and I'm sure there's love for you right across the North East now, because obviously with Newcastle and now Redcar, I think that's fairly assured. But you mentioned there about injury, though. You must wonder where you might be by now, were it not for those injuries and setbacks that you received, which through no fault of your own or anyone really. It was racing incidents, and whilst there's broken legs and broken arms and things like that, you suffered a really bad injury, a really horrific crash at the 4-team tournament in Peterborough in 2015, and it was a crash with Josh Grashanek. It was the third heat, which sent you through the fence, and you sustained some quite severe head injuries in that, and you were treated for over an hour at trackside. The meeting was abandoned, and eventually you were airlifted to hospital, and you were placed in a coma. This is really serious, life-threatening stuff that you found yourself in there, and you've battled back from that. But that's a time I imagine that you really don't have much recollection of that incident. No, that whole time's pretty much wiped out, to be honest. I'm pretty fortunate that I can't remember. Really, I'm not sure I'd be the rider I am today if I could remember, or whether I'd still be doing it. So, it was a scary time, and I mean, it was more scary for my family. Obviously, I didn't know anything about it, and still don't. But
yeah, it's a shame with obviously the setback with that, and then breaking both legs in 18, and then COVID. So in theory, I sort of had 3 years out of my career, which I do wonder, if I hadn't have had them, where I could be now. But everything happens for a reason, so we'll just keep going.
It does, having seen your race last year at Redcar, you seem to be in the form of your life at the moment. I think you were a solid rider at Redcar, and I know that you didn't necessarily get the hang of the track in the first meeting and so on, and you grew into the circuit. But by the end of the season, you seemed unstoppable. But I know that that's the rider that you can be and are. But I say the injuries probably set you back a little bit, and people don't realise probably how good you are, to be honest. And
I think, I agree with you. The last sort of 2 months of the season, I felt like I was in the best form I've ever been in, and that is down to Redcar. Really, it was such a fun place to be, and the track and everything about it I love. And that first meeting, I only got 5 points. I was so nervous and wanted to do so well, and straight through the tapes in the first one. And my head was all over the place that day. But and then to end the season winning the silver helmet, topped it off really. So it was a no-brainer going back there for me. I just loved every minute of it.
Yeah, no, you were definitely a popular addition. At the end of the season, when it was all sort of announced you're going to be joining again, I think everybody was delighted because you did seem to settle in really well at Redcar, and swan diving over the end, because the silver helmet had an extra competition for the best celebration, and so you managed to beat Charles Wright on the track in the heats, but you also beat him for the best celebration.
Yeah, I know.
Right at the end.
I still wind him up about that, about him leaving gate 3 for me, because I knew if I had gate, when they both picked gates 1 and 2, and I don't think they wanted to be on the inside of me to be on the inside of them. I think that was the biggest problem, and I was gating all night, and then but I had a look at gate 3, and it was really good, so I was happy about that. But the swan dive sort of went a bit wrong really. I sort of tried to do it forwards, and I had to do this little hop each time to go forward. I should have turned around and done it properly, but I still won, so I didn't care what I looked like at the time.
It was sort of like swan dive / the worm, wasn't it? It was like your own. You made it your own.
I don't really know what it was, but it worked.
Fantastic. Some of the other clubs you've ridden for then, I mean, you've ridden for quite a few. I mean, you are one of the riders who's actually ridden for Kings Lynn and Ipswich as well in your career, which is, there's a few that's done that, but I'm not sure many local lads have done it.
No, that was a pretty tough year. 2016, I moved to Ipswich, which was the year after my head injury. So it was tough coming back from that. I was also on some not very good engines at the time, and that didn't help. So sort of they released me not too long into the season. I think that was the best thing that could have happened to me, really. And then I joined Scunthorpe and ended the season good. And also red for Lakeside in 16 as well, and I enjoyed that. And by the end of the season, got the hang of the track as well, so it wasn't too bad. And
these are all fairly tricky tracks, aren't they? We talk about technical tracks in Britain, but Newcastle, Lakeside, they are as British a speedway track as you're probably going to get.
Yeah, definitely. I think Lakeside, I did struggle there early on, and then got to grips with it, and we made the playoff semi-finals against Bellevue, and I had a good meeting in that one, but we didn't get through. But really enjoyed my time at Lakeside. It's obviously sad that it's not there now.
I know there's too many clubs going by the wayside, but of course this year we'll get Oxford back, so a new track for you there to have a crack at.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm looking forward to going there. Heard lots of things about it, so we'll see what it's like when we go down there.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to seeing what Oxford brings us, and great to have the track and the whole name of the Oxford Cheetahs back in British Speedway. Looking ahead to 2022 for you with Kings Lynn back in the Premiership, This year, the lineup does look much more solid this year, right throughout the team, and seems like you're in for a better year, all being well. I know there's good preparations going on between you, but looking back at last year, not the greatest year at all. And whilst your results did improve, both personally and for the team, towards the end of the season, the damage was done, fairly early doors, really. And 2 wins all season really just tells the tale right there, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, it was an absolute disaster, to be honest. But for various reasons, we had so many riders and team managers, and we never ever got that team atmosphere going. And there was a few meetings that were good, that we were unlucky not to win or get a draw or whatever. But we were all trying. It just did not happen. But like I said, hopefully this year, looking at the team, I think there's a great atmosphere already. Just on the group chat, there's a good feel about it. So the fans deserve a good season. So hopefully we can do that for them.
Yeah, we've heard about the group chats. That's been a big way for you to all get together across different countries and so on in advance, isn't it? It must be good to sort of get to meet people. Even, I mean, you've probably met all the guys at some point in your career anyway. But to sort of have that vibe must really help you out before you all do meet for that first meeting. Yeah,
definitely. I think, like I said, you feel like you know them before you've actually seen each other. The only guy I've never actually spoke to is Peter Kilderman. So, but he seems a good lad, and Pete is very professional and he's a great rider. So I'm sure he'll be great for us.
And you were mentioning earlier about how much you enjoyed 2013 as a year so far in your career. And Richie Worrell was racing for Kings Lynn that season, as of course were you. And that's the case once again in 2022. You're 9 years later back together in the same side. And, again, adding more strength and depth to the Kings Lynn team, you have to say. Yeah.
I mean, Richie's a great rider. I think for quite until the new averages with the Cup and the rolling averages, I think he's a reserve for a long time. So to have Richie Worrell at reserve is massive. So that's definitely our trump card at reserve. 7 rides. I mean, he's got to be the best reserve in the league by a long way. So he can have up to 7 rides in happy days.
Okay, that could be.
As long as he doesn't take one of mine.
With looking at the lineup with Kings Lynn, Jack Thomas is he is the sort of the least experienced, the rising star in that lineup. But anybody else who drops into that other reserve slot, barring say Jake Mulford, who's the number 8, but assuming you're all fit and there and selected, then you are going to have an experienced rider in one of the reserve positions.
Yeah, I think that was our way of thinking. Like you said, whatever happens in the season, we will have a strong reserve down there. So reserves win your matches. You need a strong reserve, and we've got that all season. And in Jack Thomas as well. Jack's a good lad, and he'll definitely get stuck in, and that's all he needs to do is get stuck in. We're all going to help him. I think it'll be good.
And that is the voice of Lewi Kerr on Humans of Speedway, getting ready for his testimonial, which takes place at the time of recording in March 2020. I say that for the benefit if you're listening in a time capsule in years from now. But it's taking place on the first weekend of the British Speedway season. And next, putting all of his promoting skills that he's gained in organising his testimonial to good use, because he's going to design his dream Speedway meeting in our Speedway Paradise feature. Find out who'll make his all-time 1 to 7, his dream track, the rule he would change, and much more next on Humans of Speedway. You're listening to Humans of Speedway. I'm Ian Brannan. Welcome along. Now, if you haven't already followed or liked or subscribed to this podcast yet, then why not do it right now? It's entirely free, and what it does is it means that whenever any new episodes arrive, you'll get them straight into your app. without having to refresh or go looking for them. So why not do that right now? You won't miss anything that's coming up over the next few weeks because we've got some great guests lined up in the pipeline. This week, we're chatting with Lewi Kerr, who in 2022 is going to be racing for the Kings Lynn Stars in the Premiership, and he's going to be racing for the Redcar Bears in British Speedway's Championship. But he's ridden for many clubs across British Speedway, the likes of Plymouth, Somerset, Newcastle, Poole, Scunthorpe, Glasgow, Eastbourne. I sound like I'm reading off the names on a train journey or something, being the conductor. But these are some of the clubs that he's raced for in his career, and he's having his testimonial at Kings Lynn on the 20th of March. But right now, he's going to organise his dream Speedway meeting right before our very eyes. So let's find out what that would look like. First question for you then, Lewi, is if you could have your meeting and you could have it raced on any track, which track would you choose purely for the racing? Which would it be?
Glasgow, I think.
And you've spent some time at Glasgow in the past as well yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, I love the track, and it does produce good racing. It was a close one between there and Redcar, but I feel with Glasgow being slicker, I think there's even more racing possibly. So we'll go with Glasgow. And
the GP challenge, of course, happening this year at Glasgow as well. And I think if any of the British lads, maybe even yourself, managed to get through to that, ultimate race off to get in the Grand Prix, I mean, it's got to be a big advantage to some of the Brits this year, hasn't it? That.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you're that close to getting into the Grand Prix is pretty crazy. I mean, obviously it's a tough meeting, but being on home soil, I think, you never know what can happen. That's for sure.
Yeah, there'll be a few looking at that thinking, aye. So if we're going to put that track in a stadium, then which stadium would you put the Glasgow track in?
Any stadium.
Any stadium.
Doesn't have to be a Speedway stadium.
No. I don't think so.
As I'm an Arsenal fan, I'll go for the Emirates.
Ah, well, was it Jordan Jenkins suggested putting it in the Tottenham Stadium? So I think, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And the Arsenal Stadium are good, though. Getting a decent track down there. We've seen them in the big stadiums in Australia, though, haven't we? They always look really good.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, well, I'm not sure that'll ever happen, but it would be great.
Well, this is it. It could happen. You never know. Okay, your dream 1 to 7. You are assembling in many ways one of your dream teams for your testimonial. We know that. But if you were to pick a dream 1 to 7, who would it be? And there's no rules to this. Alive or dead, could be anybody.
Tony Rickardson, Smarzlik, Laguta, Woofy, Emil Safutinov, Jason Crump, and one more. Robert Lambert. That was it.
Robert Lambert. Of course.
Robert Lambert.
Yeah. I mean, what a he's from Kings Lynn to the world stage now. I mean, he's really, made that leap, hasn't he? He's sort of
he has, yeah.
Cracked that nut.
Yeah, it's incredible what he's done. I think, from when I first saw him on a Speedway bike, I knew, he was going to do big things. So, really pleased for him.
Who's going to referee your meeting? Because I know you're offering a chance for people to get involved in that. But who would do you have a preferred referee, if there is such a thing?
I'd have Mick Bates. Mick Bates is doing my testimonial. He used to work with my wife's dad and sort of knows her family really well, and I get on with Mick really well. So I'd have Mick Bates.
Okay, so Mick Bates is actually doing your meeting as well, so that's happening in real life.
Yeah.
A rule you would change? Well, if you're going to change the rules of Speedway, what would it be?
Yeah, if you don't hit the tapes, then to just carry on. If you make a blinder and you don't touch the tapes, just carry on. That's what I would do. It's
probably the most common thing that riders say when I ask this question. They all say the same thing. If you don't hit the tapes, let it go. It's a fraction of a second, and you've got plenty of chance to catch it up. It's not like you're going to 100-metre start, is it? And finally, who would be the opposition team, an actual team that has existed at some point in history? I
liked the 2013 Pool Pirates team with Darcy Ward, Magic, and Greg Hancock was in the team.
Yeah.
You know, those top three were pretty good, so we'll go for that.
Yeah, you forget about Greg Hancock riding at Pool, don't you? It's, what a team that was, as you say.
Yeah,
fantastic. Well, that would be a big event, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But people can see how your actual meeting pans out. Get it in your diary. 20th of March for Lewi Kerr's testimonial meeting, a 4-team tournament taking place at Kings Lynn on that very first weekend of the Speedway season, with some big names already announced and more to be announced over the coming weeks. Have a safe season, Lewi. Look forward to seeing you through the course of it. Probably see you at Redcar at some point. And
yeah, definitely.
All the best with the big event.
Thanks ever so much. Thanks for having me.
Once again, my thanks to Lewi Kerr for joining us on this episode of Humans of Speedway. If you'd like to go to his testimonial, first real weekend of action, it's the Sunday, the 20th of March at the Adrian Flux Arena at Kings Lynn, featuring the likes of Niels Christian Iversen, Peter Kildemand, Chris Harris, Nikolai Klint, Adam Ellis, Charles Wright. I've also got Richard Lawson, Norik Bladorn, and more names to be announced. And it's going to be a fantastic event, I'm sure. Now, don't forget to check out some of our previous episodes of Humans of Speedway. If you've not listened to Tom Brennan yet, make sure that you add that to your listen list, because it was a fantastic chat in the previous episode with Tom Brennan about becoming a Speedway of Nations world champion and British under-21 champion, and his plans for the future, and looking ahead to the season coming up with Bellevue. We've also recently spoken with Jordan Jenkins, one of Lewi's teammates at Redcar, but he's also the captain of the Oxford Chargers in 2022 in the National Development League. And we also recently spoke with Jordan Palin, who of course is a league champion with Peterborough, rising star there, and also racing for the Scunthorpe Scorpions. So those are the other episodes we've had out so far in 2022. And don't forget to join us on the next episode, which will be coming soon. And if you feel that you've enjoyed this, please leave us a review and rate the podcast on whichever app you choose to listen to us on. And we'll see you soon on the next episode of Humans of Speedway.
Social Podcast Network.
Looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/get100 and use code GET100. That's code GET100 at prizepicks.com/get100. for a first deposit matchup to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.